And welcome, it's Tuesday and it's another edition of the magnificent The Brit Show with a Las Vegas special. Ladies and gentlemen, let the show begin.
Viva Las Vegas! Viva Las Vegas! Viva Las Vegas! Viva, Viva Las
Whoa, absolutely phenomenal. We have our own house band and welcome to Team and the House Band.
Viva, Viva Las Vegas!
Whoa, beautiful, I say. But apart from the house band, we of course have in the red chair Kenneth. Hello, Kenneth.
Hello, Simon.
It is wonderful to have you on this wondrous occasion here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, we must have you because we are broadcasting live from our IP-based studio in the basement of our HQ in Oslo, Norway. And we have some great news which we're going to talk about. And what are those news? Let's see. It says here on my cue card that we are actually going to talk about HDR.
Yes, we're going to talk a bit about high dynamic range and wide color gamut that comes along with it. So as high dynamic range and wide color gamut makes it into television and computers at in the different homes around the world, the content producers will have to change their workflows from a earlier standard dynamic range workflow into a high dynamic range workflow.
Absolutely.
Comes with it some changes to existing things they've used before, like Waveform Scope, but also new scope functionality, which helps them understand this new area they're
Of course,
venturing into.
because it's all about accuracy and being able to understand it, both from the operator perspective and, of course, from the creative perspective. So, it's no doubt we are going to talk about HDR. So you mentioned that, of course, you need a set of different tools to be able then to cater for HDR in its entirety. And of course, we have been developing those tools for quite some time now, and it's ready for the big time.
Soon ready for the big time, anyway.
That is true, because it's going to be released in a couple of weeks.
Yes, that's right.
But of course, we are not letting you guys down. We are going to give you an amazing preview of those functionalities here and now today. So of course, we have Marcus to join us. Hello, Marcus.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going great, and thank you for joining us. And of course, we couldn't be who we are without giving you a special tribute. Are you ready for it, Marcus?
Sure, let's go.
Excellent. So let our house band welcome Marcus. Oh, that's very, very good, I must say. And what better to play than Back in Black, since, of course, the highlights and the blacks are a very integral part of what we're going to do with HDR, and a very important one. So why don't you start, Marcus, to show us what's new?
Okay, so let's start off. The HDR support in the VB440 that's coming up in a couple of weeks. I guess I can start with what's the most important part when you're supposed to support HDR. It's the signaling, right? So you have to know if a stream is HDR. And so we give you a few designators here. We give you PQ. If it's HLG, it will say HLG, and the same for SLOG3. We also have now a gamut designator. So if you change the gamut of the stream, it will be reflected in the designator. And with the signaling,
can I just interrupt for a moment there because it's such an important thing, because most of the time you really wonder what type of signal you are dealing with, of course.
yes, it's very important to know. And if you don't know what you're putting into it, it's impossible, well, for us to be able to analyze it correctly as well.
But showing here is basically an HDR PQ coded stream. We do more codings, right?
Yes, yes. As I said, we do the HLG and the S-Log3. I can see if I can find one here. Here's an S-Log3. And I think I have an HLG as well.
Yes, you do. That is very, very cool. And one thing, because we can find out, what the stream type is and what the coding is by looking at the NMOS signaling, right?
Yes. So right now, you can either specify it by using the SDP. So we either take it from the SDP, and if you don't have it there, we can find it from the ancillary data.
That
so
is
if you
pretty
specify it
cool.
in the ancillary data, like here, we can see that and just automatically configure your stream so you can get the designators.
But we can also do this manually, can't we?
Yes, so you can also go in, as usual, into the stream config and manually set it. That will override any setting you have in the auxiliary and, well, not from the SDP, because that's kind of a manual setting that as well. But if you had it in auto, then the manual will override the auxiliary.
Perfect. Oh, this is so great. Thank you, Marcus. Let's move on to the waveform scope, because basically the waveform scope is, of course, one of the absolute most, important tools.
Yes, so with the HDR support, we had to make some improvements to the waveform scope, specifically the graticule. So we needed to show not only the IRE that we had before, we needed to show the nits. So now you can actually see, you get the graticule for the nits, and we've added some options to make it easier to add a custom guideline, like I said here, for 1,000. You can specify any number you want. We added the graticule intensity, which has been highly requested. We also have now an easy way to change the intensity of the waveform.
That is pretty good, because I know that, graticule intensity seems like a small point, but of course with operators working either in, darkened rooms or more operational rooms, you need to be able to vary that. Very useful feature.
Yes. Now, all our scopes now have support for HDR. And with that, we have added a new scope, the chromaticity. And this is new. This is coming with the next release. And it shows you the gamut of the video. Now, changing the gamut underneath here actually reconfigures the stream. It's not just changing the outline, it's actually just reconfiguring. So you'll see it fills the whole space. I can show you a more interesting one. This is one that shows the color checkers. And we also have an option for making it more easier to see the values. Or if you're interested in the intensity, you can turn it off.
So that means that you basically will, this change of color space gamut will basically also be reflected in the preview imagery there.
Yes, so the HDR support also brings in a way to view the HDR image. So normally, if you don't support HDR, the image will look very desaturated, like a gray filter is over it. So we've added a way to give you a preview of how that will look. So I can show you here, if you can see in the bottom right here, we have added some new toggles for specifically HDR. This will show up only on HDR streams as well. So we have basically our own LUT that makes the PQ to SDR, specifically for the browser we choose sRGB. We also have the same one for HLG and S-Log3. So you get to see how, you get like a very accurate preview of how it would look on a proper HDR to SDR conversion that would be shown on an SDR screen.
But this is a very, very complex feature because, you know, the browser is not very HDR friendly at all. Actually, it cannot display HDR at all. So we then convert the specific codings, HLG, PQ, or SLO3, into the sRGB color space in the browser to be able to display this, right?
Yes, yes. So this is, we don't change the contents you're sending. We're just showing it in the preview in the browser. So it's a very local effect.
That is pretty cool. But okay, so you are converting then the PQ coded image into sRGB, but still you must overshoot, and you know that will flare out in the browser, wouldn't it?
Yes. So it will if you don't tone map it. So we are actually normally you wouldn't get the option to toggle on and off the tone mapping. It would just be baked into the LUT. But we actually, since we're doing it locally and we don't technically use a lot, we do all the processing ourselves. We can actually show you the image with and without the tone mapping. And the tone mapping actually works in a way that it shows you the HDR parts of the image. So if you can see when I toggle it on and off, you can probably see that the highlights that are in the flames are kind of blown out. And when I toggle on the tone mapping, they're brought back into the visible space. And it's actually clearer to see if I also toggle on the false color, which is something I haven't talked about right now, but you can see now that it actually shows you also the HDR parts of the image. And you get a guide to show you what nits that corresponds to. So let me see if I can find something that would be easier to see here. Maybe here. Right.
Oh, that's very visible, absolutely.
Yes, so you can see also the same parts that are clipped without the tone mapping are the ones you see highlighted in blue, the 200 nits, when you turn on the false color. And the false color actually works very well in line with the in the waveform. So you can see kind of that they match up. If I can see, I can find something that is more interesting. Yeah, this is kind of good enough. You can see that the false color with the waveform by the side in the nits graticule can actually give you more of a more precise way to see which pixel is that nit. So you can see in the waveform, you can see that you can probably have something that is, let me see if I can find something that is more exciting to see. Something that isn't just dark or the credits.
It's going in a loop, so obviously, you know,
yeah,
finding
okay, yeah.
that.
It's just these two combined can give you a very accurate view of where the highlights are in the image, kind of like right now.
But that is perfect. So I would say this is quite a breakthrough because that means that you will actually be able to do very, very precise HDR type coloring and also to check confidence levels inside a web browser. Wow, that's something for the first. I'm very impressed here, Marcus.
Yeah, it's great. We think it's going to be appreciated by our users. And
that is absolutely wonderful. I would say, you know, what else is there to say than Mamma Mia? Ho ho!
Yes, I'm looking harder. Who's just the day we parted? Why did I ever let you go? Mamma Mia, no, I really know. Why I could never let you
Whoa, thank you to our house band. That is absolutely fantastic. Kenneth, this is quite a revolution, I say, because again, now you have all these wonderful tools with the exact same response times and everything that we had in the product so far, but now also with HDR.
Yes. So it's an extension of our existing product, you could say,
Yeah.
to cater to this new HDR-focused production reality that we're moving into.
Yeah, because HDR is, well, first of all, is coming here to stay. That's quite obvious. So everybody that does video production is going to be faced with those challenges.
Also, which Marcus touched in on the different transfer characteristics, for example,
Yeah.
PQ, HLV, S-log, C-log. There's many different new things to learn with HDR that you didn't have before.
No.
So it's more complexity, and also having a tool like the product we provide helps operators deal with that complexity and give them insight into what's going on in the network, what are the flows, what are at any point in time the different cameras configured for. You can bring that up on your phone, your iPad, your MacBook. You don't even have to be on site. You can. It opens up a great new.
Yeah, because again, we talked about the importance and the necessity, but also there's an added thing here, because when you produce in HDR, you always also have to produce in SDR, because you have to be compatible with the normal world here.
Yes, seems not everybody upgraded their television sets to SDR at the same time.
If you hear this message, go upgrade your TV screens, because you'll see the difference. But that means that the compliance is more important than ever.
So the 440 also gives you the opportunity to watch like an HDR to like a tone map version of your HDR signal, which normally will have to go through a full, a bigger chain of devices to do. But just to give you like a preview, we do also do the tone mapping in the browser, so you can play around with that.
No, but that is absolutely crazy. But we are not resting on our laurels, and we got more. We are going to talk about audio. And of course, we're not only going to talk about it. We are still have our dear friend Marcus here.
Yes.
But we have to, hello Marcus, you are ready to demo some more audio stuff for us?
I am.
Oh, that's excellent. Because, Kenneth, again, the audio is a very, very important thing, and it's kind of like a stepchild of video, but there is no video without audio, is there?
There is no video without audio. Well, there could be, but it's part of the experience. So having television without audio is somewhat, or like any video signal, is somewhat. It's less of an experience. Of course, it's possible, but it's
back to the silent
terrible.
movie days.
Yeah, exactly. So.
But audio also poses an interesting kind of let's say newfound problems, because now it's not only stereo anymore, and it's not only surround anymore, and surround has gone from 5.1 to 7.1 to 9.1 in commercial kind of television, and of course now we have immersive audio as well.
Yes, let's not even touch into, for example, let's say producing for IMAX or something like that.
Well, that's very true. Then it's 9.4.16 or something. But we're touching into immersive audio. And again, Marcus, show us a little about the audio capabilities that we now have included in the probe. I see that you have is that a 7.1 stream?
This is a 7.1 stream, yes. And well, I guess I can talk about the new thing we have here. So with the 7.1, we show you actually for any surround, for 5.1 and 7.1, we show you now a new room meter, which shows you the same old values that you've seen in the our normal audio meters, but in our room shape, we can say. The same peaks and basically the same ballistics as well as you're used to.
So that means that you basically then have, because we have in stereo, we have this beautiful goniometer, to show you the phase. There you go, here you got it. And it will automatically switch then to a room meter, either in 5.1 or 7.1 configurations, right?
Yes, yes. So when you go from a surround configuration to a stereo, we will just switch over to a goniometer.
That is pretty awesome. But I see, actually, is that a loudness radar meter at your right there?
Yes. So this has been in for a while, but it actually shows you the loudness of the signal in a kind of a radar fashion. And we can change what kind of value we want to see, if it's momentary or short-term or integrated. We have different scales as well. You can see, well, this just changes the ranges from the top and the bottom. And we also have different round times. So you can basically get the exact timing and behavior you want out of it.
No, but this is awesome. But tell me a little more about you know, the immersive audio there, because people then have different needs. You have you know, Netflix has 7.2.4. You know, other post-production SVOD deliverers have 7.1.4. Can we cater for all these diverse type of meters?
Yes, so you can now specify your own kind of mapping. So if you give us 16 channels, you can yourself specify what kind of mapping you want them to have. You can say the first 2 channels are stereo, and then it comes right after, that's 5.1. And then you can have some unknown channels, like an unknown 4, or just a single undefined channel.
So
That is
you can
not
have
the same as a mono channel.
So you can have any combination of stereo, surround, immersive, mono channels for up to 64 channels in one flow, right?
Yes.
Wow. I say, no, Marcus, this is just awesome. I say, Kenneth, this is pretty impressive, isn't it?
It's great.
I would say so. I would go so far to say that this is a pretty crazy little thing, right?
I can't handle it. This thing called love. I know I must get right to it. I ain't ready. 'Cause it's a little thing called love.
Whoa, absolutely phenomenal. And you know, I'm pretty impressed. I hope you are too, Kenneth. Well, of course, you contributed greatly to this phenomenal build. So, any closing arguments for you know, the HDR release coming in a couple of weeks to everyone that actually have the 440? This will be part of the next release coming in a couple of weeks, and to all you out there that actually wants to get some order into your either immersive audio or your HDR production, well, look no further. So,
Exactly.
yeah. Any closing arguments here? You think everything has been said?
Merry Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas. Absolutely. That is Merry Christmas. And I would also strongly suggest that you tune in tomorrow where we have much more news from our IP-based studio in the basement of our HQ in Oslo, Norway. And ladies and gentlemen, we bid you farewell with our house band.
Bright light sees ghosts of my soul, ghosts of my soul. Fight. Got a whole lot of money that ready to burst. So things up high. There's 1,000 pretty women waiting up there. I'm just a devil with love to spare. Yeah, I'm just a devil with love to spare. So, viva Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. Viva, viva Las Vegas.